7 deadliest 80s muscle cars you never knew existed. The 1980s weren't meant to create dangerous muscle cars, but they did. Turbos replaced displacement, restraint replaced noise, and manufacturers crossed lines they didn't fully understand. These cars looked harmless and sounded tame until pushed. Then hidden power, sudden torque, and zero forgiveness turned public roads into the wrong place to be. 7. 1987. Buick GNX. Darkness suited the Buick GNX, and that wasn't an accident. In the late 1980s, muscle cars were supposed to be tame, quiet, and nearly forgotten. Yet Buick quietly built something that terrified everything around it. No stripes, no scoops, no bravado, just black paint, black wheels, and intent. The GNX didn't advertise danger, it concealed it. At its core sat the LC2 3.8-liter turbocharged V6, officially rated at 276 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque, though real output was widely believed to be higher. Power went straight to the rear wheels through a drivetrain that prioritized brute force over finesse. With that setup, the GNX could rip from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.6 seconds, humiliating V8 muscle cars that still relied on displacement rather than boost. What made the GNX deadly wasn't just speed, but timing. Turbo torque arrived suddenly, violently, and without warning. The rear tires struggled to cope, and traction vanished instantly if the driver was careless. Steering was vague, suspension was stiff, and stability systems didn't exist. Once boost hit, the driver was either committed or already too late. Confidence was the real enemy. The GNX felt calm at low speeds, almost relaxed, encouraging drivers to underestimate what lay ahead. But when throttle was buried, the car transformed into something savage. Public roads offered no forgiveness when turbo surge overwhelmed grip. Recovery required experience, not reflex. Its appearance worsened the danger. Other drivers never anticipated its pace. Police rarely suspected it. The GNX looked like an aging luxury coupe, not a street predator. Reactions came late. Space disappeared quickly. Consequences followed immediately. Buick never intended to redefine muscle. The GNX existed as a farewell experiment, built in limited numbers and quietly released. That restraint only amplified its legend. It wasn't balanced, refined, or safe. It was raw, boosted, and unforgiving. Today, the 1987 Buick GNX stands as one of the deadliest muscle cars of the 1980s. It proved that power didn't need cylinders or noise to be lethal. Sometimes all it took was boost, darkness, and a moment of overconfidence to turn the street into a mistake. 6. 1986 Dodge Shelby GLHS. Reputation rarely came from size in the 1980s, and the Dodge Shelby GLHS proved that brutally. It looked like an economy hatchback meant for grocery runs and cheap fuel, not something capable of humiliating larger, louder muscle cars. That visual weakness became its greatest weapon. Drivers saw nothing threatening, nothing special, and nothing worth caution. They were wrong. Hidden beneath the compact shell was the 2.2-liter turbo 2-in-line-4, engineered under Carroll Shelby's direction, producing 175 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque sent exclusively to the front wheels. With its stripped weight and aggressive gearing, the GLHS could charge from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds, an alarming figure for a car that looked disposable. What made the GLHS deadly wasn't raw speed alone, but delivery. Turbo boost arrived suddenly, overwhelming the front tires and yanking the steering wheel under hard acceleration. Torque steer wasn't a flaw here, it was a warning. Lift too early and balance snapped. Stay in it too long and control evaporated. Every input demanded precision. The danger came from arrogance. Drivers underestimated it because of its shape. Rivals assumed it was slow. Even owners trusted it too quickly. The GLHS punished mistakes instantly, with no traction control, no stability aids, and no forgiveness. Public roads offered no margin once boost hit mid-corner or during imperfect launches. Its appearance made everything worse. Police ignored it. Other motorists dismissed it. There were no spoilers, screaming intent, no wide tires suggesting capability. Reactions came late. Space disappeared quickly. Consequences followed immediately. Shelby never intended the GLHS to be friendly. Comfort was stripped away. Sound deadening vanished. Suspension stiffened. The car existed to be raw, aggressive, and uncomfortable. That intensity translated directly into danger when driven beyond discipline. Production numbers were low, and understanding was lower. The market didn't know what to do with a front-wheel drive hatchback that behaved like a street weapon. It didn't fit the muscle image, and it didn't care. Today, the 1986 Dodge Shelby GLHS stands as one of the most overlooked yet dangerous muscle cars of the decade. It proved size didn't matter, cylinders didn't matter, and noise didn't matter. All that mattered was boost, weight, and the courage to control something that never wanted to behave. 5. 1989 Pontiac Turbo Trans Am. Fear didn't arrive with loud stripes or oversized scoops in 1989. It arrived quietly, wrapped in white paint, subtle badges, and authority most drivers didn't understand. The Pontiac Turbo Trans Am looked ceremonial, almost restrained, yet it carried one of the most aggressive powertrains ever slipped into a production muscle car. That contrast made it lethal. Instead of a traditional V8, Pontiac borrowed engineering directly from Buick's darkest experiment. Under the hood lived the LC-2 3.8-liter turbocharged V6, producing 250 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque, sent to the rear wheels through a drivetrain designed to handle sudden violence rather than gradual buildup. With that setup, the Turbo Trans Am could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.6 seconds, numbers that embarrassed supercars of its era. What made this car dangerous was surprise. Turbo torque hit hard and early, snapping traction without warning. Throttle response was brutal, and boost arrived faster than reflexes. The rear tires struggled, steering demanded respect, and mistakes escalated instantly. There were no electronic safety nets waiting to intervene. Once boost arrived, the driver was alone. The car's image worsened the risk. It didn't look aggressive. It didn't sound threatening at idle. Other drivers underestimated it completely. Police rarely suspected it. Reactions came late, lanes closed quickly, and space vanished before anyone understood what was happening. Confidence was the enemy. At cruising speeds, the Trans Am felt composed and stable, encouraging drivers to trust it too much. That trust evaporated the moment full throttle met imperfect pavement. Recovery required experience, not hope. Lift too late, and momentum took control. Pontiac never intended this car to exist as a street menace. It was built as a homologation special, a celebration, a statement. Yet by pairing a lightweight body with forced induction fury, it accidentally created one of the most dangerous muscle cars of the decade. Production was limited, understanding was limited, and restraint was optional. The Turbo Trans Am didn't fit expectations, and that confusion became its strength. It proved muscle didn't need displacement to dominate, only torque, timing, and the willingness to overwhelm anyone who assumed silence meant safety. Today, the 1989 Pontiac Turbo Trans Am stands as a reminder that danger doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, builds boost, and strikes before judgment has time to react. The next car didn't look dangerous until it proved it was. 4. 1985 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS Aero Coupe. Aerodynamics weren't supposed to make a muscle car dangerous, but the Monte Carlo SS Aero Coupe quietly proved otherwise. Built to satisfy NASCAR homologation rules, it looked like a refined personal coupe rather than a threat. The sloped rear glass and smooth body lines suggested efficiency, not intimidation. That subtle appearance allowed it to slip through traffic unnoticed, hiding intentions most drivers never suspected. Under the hood sat the LG 4.5-liter naturally aspirated V8, producing 180 horsepower and 245 pound-feet of torque, routed to the rear wheels through a chassis designed more for stability than forgiveness. With that configuration, the Aero Coupe could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.4 seconds, a number that felt far more serious once momentum began stacking up at highway speeds. The danger didn't come from explosive launches. It came from commitment. The long hood, soft suspension, and aerodynamic tail encouraged sustained speed rather than restraint. Once rolling fast, the car felt planted and confident, convincing drivers to push harder than conditions allowed. Braking distances stretched. Weight transfer became pronounced. Recovery demanded foresight rather than instinct. What made the Aero Coupe unsettling was balance without boundaries. Steering felt relaxed, ride quality remained composed, and wind noise stayed low even as speed climbed. Drivers often found themselves traveling far faster than intended, trusting stability that vanished abruptly when pushed beyond limits. There were no electronic systems waiting to save a mistake. Its image made matters worse. Other motorists dismissed it as a cruiser. Authorities rarely looked twice. Without aggressive styling or noise, reactions came late and space closed quickly. The Monte Carlo didn't announce its pace. It simply carried it. Chevrolet never intended to unleash a street menace. The Aero Coupe existed to win races races, not to dominate public roads. Engineers focused on airflow and efficiency, not the consequences of sustained speed in civilian hands. That oversight created a machine capable of overwhelming judgment rather than thrilling senses. Production numbers were limited, understanding even more so. Buyers never fully grasped what the Aerocoupe represented. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't brutal, it was quietly effective, and that subtlety became its danger. Today, the 1985 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS Aerocoupe stands as one of the most overlooked threats of the era. It proved that danger doesn't always arrive with excess power or noise. Sometimes it comes wrapped in smooth glass, calm manners, and the false confidence of control, waiting patiently for speed to outrun awareness on roads never meant to test race-bred ideas. If these hidden machines surprised you, hit like and subscribe for more stories the industry tried to bury. 3. 1988 Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z 1LE. Authority didn't come from brute force with the Camaro IROC-Z 1LE. It came from confidence built on racing logic, quietly transferred to the street. At a glance, it looked like another flashy 1980s Camaro, more image than substance. The wide stance and decals suggested attitude, but few realized this version was engineered with a very different purpose. That misunderstanding made it far more dangerous than it appeared. Beneath the hood sat the L98 5.7-liter naturally aspirated V8, producing 245 horsepower and 345 pound-feet of torque, delivered to the rear wheels through a setup designed for endurance rather than comfort. With that configuration, the IROC-Z 1LE could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.6 seconds. A serious figure for a car that still looked like a street cruiser to most drivers. What separated the 1LE package from ordinary Camaros was intent. Suspension was stiffened, brakes were upgraded, cooling systems were reinforced, and weight was reduced. Comfort features were removed without apology. This was a car meant to run hard for long periods, not one designed to forgive mistakes. Grip was high, but limits arrived suddenly and without warning. The danger lived in confidence. Steering felt direct, the chassis responded eagerly, and the car encouraged aggressive driving far beyond what public roads could safely support. Push too hard mid-corner, and the rear stepped out violently. Brake too late, and momentum punished hesitation. There were no electronic systems to intervene. Once committed, the driver was responsible for every outcome. Its appearance worsened the risk. Other drivers expected noise and posturing, not precision. Authorities saw another IROC, not a homologation-inspired street weapon. Reactions came late, and space disappeared quickly. The Camaro never warned anyone before exploiting a gap. Chevrolet never marketed the 1LE as dangerous. It existed to satisfy racing requirements and give privateers an edge. That focus on durability and performance created a car that blurred the line between race machine and street transport. Production numbers were low, understanding even lower. Most buyers never realized what the 1LE represented. It wasn't about show, it was about capability, discipline, and consequences. Today, the 1988 Camaro IROC-Z 1LE stands as one of the most underestimated muscle cars of the 1980s. It proved danger doesn't always come from excess power. Sometimes it comes from grip, balance, and a chassis that invites commitment faster than judgment can keep up, turning ordinary roads into places they were never designed to be. The next sleeper didn't roar, it struck. 2. 1984 Ford Mustang SVO. Attention was never part of the Ford Mustang SVO's strategy, and that was its most dangerous trait. While other Mustangs relied on loud graphics and V8 bravado, the SVO took a quieter, more calculated approach. It looked restrained, almost academic, designed to appeal to drivers who valued balance over noise. That restraint masked intentions few drivers expected from an 80s Mustang. Power came from the 2.3-liter turbocharged inline-4, producing 175 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque, sent to the rear wheels through a chassis developed with serious engineering intent. With that configuration, the SVO could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, a figure that didn't sound dramatic until paired with how the car behaved once moving quickly. What made the SVO dangerous was sophistication without forgiveness. Turbo boost arrived sharply, demanding precise throttle control. Suspension tuning was firm, steering was quick, and the car responded instantly to driver input. It encouraged aggressive driving, rewarding confidence while punishing mistakes. Push too hard, and the rear end stepped out abruptly. Lift at the wrong moment, and balance shifted without warning. The danger lived in contrast. The SVO felt composed and planted at speed, giving drivers a false sense of security. Brakes were capable, chassis balance was impressive, and the car begged to be driven harder than public roads allowed. When limits were crossed, recovery required skill, not hope. There were no electronic systems waiting to intervene. Its appearance made matters worse. Other drivers underestimated it completely. Authorities rarely noticed it. Without the roar of a V8 or aggressive styling, speed built quietly, and situations escalated before anyone reacted. The SVO didn't announce intent, it simply exploited gaps and disappeared. Ford never intended the SVO to be a street menace. It was created to showcase advanced engineering, turbocharging, and European-style handling. That focus produced a Mustang that behaved more like a track car than a muscle icon, blurring the line between performance experiment and street machine. Sales were limited, and understanding was limited as well. Many buyers didn't know what to make of a four-cylinder Mustang with serious intent. Those who did discovered a car that demanded respect. Today, the 1984 Ford Mustang SVO stands as one of the most misunderstood muscle cars of the 1980s. It proved danger doesn't always come from displacement or noise. Sometimes it comes from precision, boost in a chassis that encourages commitment faster than judgment can react. 1. 1989 Chrysler Conquest TSI. Mystery surrounded the Chrysler Conquest TSI long before anyone understood what it was capable of. It didn't look like a traditional American muscle car, and that confusion worked entirely in its favor. With sharp lines, pop-up headlights, and a distinctly Japanese silhouette, the Conquest blended into the background of late 80s performance cars. Most drivers never realized it carried the potential to become genuinely dangerous when pushed. Beneath its restrained exterior lived the G54B 2.6-liter turbocharged inline-4, producing 176 horsepower and 223 pound-feet of torque sent to the rear wheels through a layout that rewarded commitment rather than caution. With that setup, the Conquest TSI could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds, a figure that surprised anyone expecting style over substance. What made the Conquest deadly wasn't raw output, but delivery. Turbo boost arrived suddenly and without apology, overwhelming rear traction if the driver wasn't prepared. Throttle response demanded discipline, and mid-corner acceleration could turn confidence into oversteer instantly. Steering was direct, suspension firm, and mistakes escalated quickly without electronic assistance to soften consequences. The danger lived in contrast. At cruising speeds, the Conquest felt composed and comfortable, encouraging drivers to trust it too easily. Once boost built, momentum stacked rapidly, and braking distances disappeared faster than expected. Public roads offered little forgiveness when turbo torque met imperfect pavement. Its appearance amplified the threat. Other drivers misjudged it. Authorities rarely noticed it. Without aggressive sound or obvious muscle cues, reactions came late and gaps closed quickly. The Conquest never announced its pace. It simply exploited hesitation. Chrysler never intended to create a street predator. The Conquest TSI was a collaboration experiment, blending turbocharged technology with grand touring comfort. That balance produced a car capable of far more than its image suggested, and that gap between perception and reality defined its danger. Production numbers were limited, and understanding even more so. Many dismissed it as obscure or misunderstood. Those who drove it hard learned quickly that restraint mattered. Today, the 1989 Chrysler Conquest TSI stands as one of the deadliest hidden muscle cars of the 1980s. It proved danger doesn't need heritage or noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly, builds boost patiently, and waits for confidence to outrun judgment, turning underestimated engineering into an unforgettable lesson. These cars were never built to be safe, sensible, or forgiving, and that's exactly why they still matter. They proved that the 1980s didn't kill muscle cars, it simply hid them. Turbo boost replaced roar, restraint replaced spectacle, and danger arrived without warning. If uncovering these forgotten machines surprised you, hit like to support the channel, subscribe for more stories the industry doesn't like to remember, and let us know, tell in the comment which one shocked you the most. Thanks for watching.